Hey guys, so today we're going to start talking about radical equations and we'll be able to solve a radical equation. So what is a radical equation? A radical equation is just an equation with a variable inside a radicand. So see in our first example we can see that we have an x plus 4 inside of our radical, and in our second equation we have the cube root of x. So what we're going to need to do is, just like when we were solving linear equations, we need to use the inverse operation to eliminate a radical. And the inverse operation of a radical is to raise that term to the same power. So what we're going to use to solve these types of equations is isolate the root. So we want whatever root it is on one side of the equation, and then we are going to raise both sides of the equation to that same power. So whatever our index is, we're going to raise both sides of our equation to that power. So let's try our first example. Our square root of x is isolated. So our first step is going to be then to square both sides of our equation. And we get the square root of x squared leaves us with just x is equal to. Now we have x minus 6 squared. And we all know that x minus 6 squared is the same thing as x minus 6 times x minus 6. So I'm going to go ahead and just write that down, times x minus 6. So we can FOIL this. So I'm going to have x squared minus 6x minus 6x is going to be minus 12x. Negative 6 times negative 6 is plus 36. Then we're going to make sure that everything is on one side of the equation so we can factor and solve. So we are going to subtract x from the left side, move it over to the right. We're left with 0 is equal to x squared minus 13x plus 36. We use our beautiful triangle method, or we think of two numbers that multiply to 36 and add to negative 13, and I get negative 9 and negative 4. So I'm going to go ahead and write that in factored form. X minus 9 times x minus 4 is equal to 0. Now, since I have my factored form set equal to 0, I can set each factor equal to 0. So I have x minus 9 equals 0, and x minus 4 equals 0. Add 4 to both sides, x is equal to 4. Add 9 to both sides, x is equal to 9. So we have two solutions of x equals 9 and x equals 4. What we do need to do is double check our solutions. So we have to plug it back in. I know this is your favorite thing to do, but we have to make sure neither of these solutions are extraneous. So I'm going to go with green for my check. So I'm plugging it into my original equation. So the square root of 9 is equal to 9 minus 6. The square root of 9 is 3. Here we are just going to use the positive answers when we're taking the square root. So the square root of 9 is 3, and that is equal to 9 minus 6, which is 3. Check. Then we need to plug in 4. So we have the square root of 4 is equal to 4 minus 6. So the square root of 4 is 2, is equal to negative 2. So that is not true. So x equals 4 is not a solution to this equation, and our only solution is x is equal to 9. Now one more example. We have x minus the square root of x plus 2 is equal to 4. So I first, like my reminder is telling me up here, I need to isolate my radical expression first. So I'm going to move the square root of x plus 2 to the right side of the equation, and I'm going to move the 4 to the left side of the equation. So I'm first adding square root of x plus 2 to both sides of the equation. Then I am going to subtract 4 to both sides of the equation. On the left, the square root of x minus x plus 2's cancel, and I'm left with x minus 4 is equal to. On the right, the 4's cancel, and I'm left with the square root of x plus 2. I now have my radical expression isolated, so I can raise both sides of my equation to that power. The power is 2, so I'm squaring both sides. On the left, this is once again when we FOIL x minus 4 times x minus 4, so I'm left with x squared minus 4x, which is minus 8x, plus 16 is equal to x plus 2. Once again, going to set my equation equal to 0 so I can factor and solve. So I'm moving over this minus x, this x, and this 2. So I have 0 on my right side of the equation. And on the left side of my equation, I have x squared minus 9x plus 14. So I need two numbers that multiply to 14 and add to negative 9, and I get x minus 7 times x minus 2 is equal to 0. So my two solutions are x is equal to 7 and x is equal to 2. Last step, check. I'm going in green for the check. First 7. 7 minus the square root 7 plus 2 is equal to 4. 7 plus 2 is 9. The square root of 9 is 3. 7 minus 3 is equal to 4. Check. So x is equal to 7 is one of our solutions. Now x is equal to 2. 2 minus the square root of 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. 2 minus 2 plus 2 is 4. The square root of 4 is 2. So 2 minus 2 is equal to 4. That is not true because 0 does not equal 4. So this is not a solution. And our solution for this equation is x is equal to 7. See you later.